Hey guys, Cookie Medic here. Welcome back to our DayZ Complete Guide. Today we'll be covering food and calories. Before we get into it, I have to make a few corrections from our last video, which you can access by clicking right here. Last time we talked about the DayZ medical system, and some awesome people pointed some neat stuff out. First things first, I made a mistake. Cholera isn't caused by bloodied hands causes salmonellosis. Cholera is only caused by dirty water. Additionally, we can use sewing kits and bandanas to patch up bleeding. The bandana, when used to patch up bleeding, is actually silent, whereas bandages makes noise that can be heard by other players. Thanks guys. Anyway, on to our video. I've included timestamps in the description for anybody looking for a specific topic. Food in DayZ is arguably the most important type of loot spawn. Food is necessary for everybody's survival, and yet at times it can be very sparse, especially on a populated server. You could have the best late game loot, but ultimately, without food, everybody starves. It's imperative then that we understand how food and calories function, how cooking works, and the best ways to find food. Let's begin with our core stat, hunger. Hunger can be broken down into two substats, the most important of which is energy. Energy is represented by the apple in your character's stats bar. It ranges from 0 to 7,500 calories. However, our apple appears full at a fraction of the maximum amount of energy you can store. A full apple only represents 4,000 calories out of our 7,500 calorie total. As such, experienced survivors eat as much food as they possibly can immediately upon finding it. There is no tangible advantage to saving your food for later unless you need to give it to a friend. Our second substat is the stomach. The stomach is a hidden stat ranging from 0 to 2,000 and a measure of how much food and water you can physically consume at once. Once you've eaten/drank enough to fill your stomach to 1,500, you'll receive the stuff status effect and you should stop eating. If you continue eating, you'll hit 2,000 and your character will start to vomit to make more space. This is detrimental to your health as it wastes food and water and can put you into starvation mode pretty quickly. At lower levels of energy, our character will have less stamina and move slower. If our energy becomes too low, our character will begin to starve. Eventually, this will kill you. So we understand how much energy you could store and the consequences of not storing enough, but how is energy consumed? Energy is always consumed just by the nature of your player needing it to live. The player burns a base 0.01 calories per second. We call this your base metabolic rate. However, certain factors can cause us to burn energy at a faster rate. Hypothermia, for example, increases the rate at which we burn calories. Stage 1 hypothermia causes us to burn an extra 0.3 energy per second. Stage 2 hypothermia causes us to burn an extra 0.55 energy per second. Stage 3 causes a burn of 0.7 per second, and Stage 4 is minus 0.85 per second. Stage 5 is minus 1.05. With this in mind, it's important that we keep warm if we intend to not starve. Movement speed also impacts how quickly we can burn energy. When walking, the player burns 0.08 calories per second. When jogging, the player burns 0.3 energy per second. When sprinting, the player burns 0.6 energy per second. This means that sprinting burns twice as many calories as jogging. When trekking long distances, maintaining a jogging pace at maximum can help conserve energy, especially if you're already cold. So now we understand what energy is, how it is lost, and how much we can store. Next, let's discuss our energy sources and where to find them. In DayZ, we have 6 main types of food, as well as some miscellaneous food sources. Our first food source is canned goods. Found in residential spawn areas, canned goods are convenient as they do not require cooking. However, canned goods vary widely in how nutritious they are, and they don't spawn very often. This makes them unreliable as a main source of food. The most reliable ways to find canned goods are to scavenge from residential loot spawns or to kill zombies. Zombies will often drop canned goods such as tuna or pate. Most canned goods require a knife or can opener to open. Using a knife will spill some of the contents of the canned goods, lowering their overall nutritional value. A can opener can be used to preserve all of the food in a can. Some canned goods, such as tuna fish or pate, don't require a knife to open and eat. Generally speaking, if it doesn't have a tear-off top, twist top, or a can ring, you'll need a knife to open it. The least nutritious canned good is peaches at 74 calories. The most nutritious is canned bacon at 548 calories. Our next type of food source is dried goods. Dried goods are found in the same ways as canned goods with roughly the same spawn rates. Dried goods generally provide a lot of calories, but also dehydrate you considerably. For example, powdered milk provides 496 calories, but minus 2.5 milliliters of water. Generally speaking, dried goods are still worth eating. Dried foods and canned goods are okay, but they aren't consistent. so let's talk about living off the land. Mushrooms spawn in the forests of DayZ, and each of them provides 20 calories. As of now, there's no poisonous mushroom in DayZ. They're all safe for consumption. Mushrooms can be eaten raw, dried, baked, or boiled, just not rotten. Baking mushrooms adds 15 calories to their overall nutrition, and boiling them adds 5. Fruits can be scavenged from the base of fruit trees, identified by the apples and their leaves. Fruits are similar to mushrooms in that there is no poisonous fruit, and they can be eaten dried, cooked, or raw. Apples and pears offer 50 calories each, and when baked, offer 87.5 calories. Oftentimes, you'll find fruit trees wherever you find people. There are orchards in cities such as Berezino. You can also find them lining the roadways going north in some places, so keep a keen eye out. An experienced player can speedrun his way north, subsisting on fruits as long as he has a good route planned out. Meats are obviously obtained by killing animals. There's enough animals on any given server to feed about twice the population of a high-pop server, but many players either don't think they can rely on animals for consistent food, or they don't understand how hunting works. I've personally filled entire tents with meat, so I can attest, meat is the best food source in the game. There are 2 types of game, domestic game and wild game. Domesticated game consists of animals such as cows, pigs, sheep, and chickens. Chickens spawn in nearly every city in Chernarus and will often be a fresh spawn's first hot meal. Pigs, cows, sheep, and goats all spawn on farms and in fields surrounding settlements. Larger domestic animals are more rare, but could drop enough meat to fill an inventory. They're used to people, so they'll only run away if you hurt them or sprint towards them aggressively. Otherwise, you can walk right up to them and pop them with a rifle. Wild game is a little trickier. Most of the time, you'll hear wild game before you see it. Wild game consists of several deer species, wolves, boar, and bears. Each species has its own distinctive call. I've recorded some animal calls for you, so you can familiarize yourself with them. After you hear an animal, you can start jogging towards the sound of that animal. Eventually, the animal will call again, and you'll be able to hear him better. Once the call sounds louder, it might be a good idea to slow down to a walk. Wild animals are very flighty and will take off at the first sign of danger. They will also run away when hurt, so finish them off quickly to avoid losing a kill. Another reason to finish them off quickly is to preserve meat. The more times you shoot an animal, the less meat it will drop. Pistol calibers will drop animals less effectively than rifle calibers. Generally speaking, a 7.62x5.4 or a 308 will drop a deer in one hit. If you hurt a bear, you probably just piss it off, so follow-up shots are important if you value your continued existence. After killing the animal, you could skin it with any type of knife, hatchet, or cutting implement that you have on hand. Make sure to grab both the fat and the meat. The guts can be used for making rope, the pelt can be tanned with garden lime to make leather, and the bones can be crafted into fishing hooks. Once you've made your deer bone fishing hooks, we can start fishing. To fish, you'll need either a fishing rod or a simple fishing rod, a hook, and a knife. You use the knife or shovel to dig for worms, which you can then attach to the hook. Then you can attach your baited hook to your rod. Stand on the shore and hold left click to cast. When you've caught something, a distinct tugging animation will play, and you'll either fish out a fish or a pair of wellies. You can then fillet the fish with a knife. Farming is another sustainable food source that can pay off long term, especially if you've built a base. In order to farm, at a minimum, you'll need either a pickaxe or a garden hoe, seeds, and water. For optimal farming, you also need garden lime and diluted disinfectant spray. Garden lime will decrease the time it takes to harvest, and the spray will increase our yield by preventing vegetables from rotting. Utilize your tool of choice to dig a farming plot. Then, use your garden lime to fertilize the soil in patches. Next, plant your seeds and water them. And finally, spray your plants with your diluted disinfectant spray. Now you might be saying, Cooking Medic, bro, we've got all this meat, fish, mushrooms, vegetables, but how do I cook it? Well, we have a few methods. The easiest method is the tried and true meat on a stick method. First, craft a fire. Equip a knife, walk up to a bush, and hold left click to cut the bush up. The bush should drop either long sticks or short sticks. Do this until you have a good amount of short sticks and long. Then, walk up to a tree with your knife and hold left click to scrape some bark off. Collect the bark as tinder. You can also use rags and paper as tinder. Combine your tinder with your short sticks to craft a fire. Place extra short sticks inside the fireplace to keep it fueled. Next, you'll need a way to light it. Matches or a lighter are preferable. If unavailable, combine short sticks with bark to craft a bow drill in order to light your fire. And finally, you'll need a way to cook your food. Combine your knife with a long stick and sharpen it. Attach your food to your sharpened stick, stand near your fire, and hold left click to roast. Your stick will wear down over time, so you may need to craft another. You can upgrade fireplaces by placing 16 stones on the campfire, upgrading it to a full stone oven. Alternatively, if you have both a camping tripod and a cooking pot, you can place the tripod over the fire and attach the pot to it. Placing food items in the cooking pot in combination with fat will bake them. Placing food items in the pot with water will boil them. The water can be drunk afterwards as it will be purified. You can use a cooking pot in the exact same way by utilizing a gas stove. Combine the gas stove with a full gas canister, then drop it on the ground. Attach your cooking pot to it, place your ingredients inside, and then press F on your gas stove to turn it on. Some houses in DayZ also have stoves that you can use. By placing tinder and fuel on a stove and lighting it, the stove will provide several slots for cooking. Beware, however, because the smoke from the stove will billow out of the house's chimney, telegraphing your position like a smoke signal that reads "kill me." You can also dry food in DayZ, which will keep it from spoiling. You can do this by placing food into the dry slots in house stoves and in stone ovens. Make sure to keep a close eye on your food because food can quickly burn, and in DayZ, burned food can make you sick with salmonella. That's all the time we have for today. I hope I provided a clear and concise overview on DayZ's food system, including how to get it, where to get it, and how it all works together. If you like this video, like it. If you dislike the video, please dislike it. Tell me what I can do better. Please leave a comment if you think I missed something, or there's something you want me to elaborate on. Odds are, I'll read it pretty quickly. And if you want to see more of these videos, subscribe. Anyway, that's all for today, and good luck surviving.